Correlated hedging is very similar, right? So same concept. You are long one pair and whatever news is coming out, you're fearful, so you want to be short the other one. That way you can use it as kind of like a risk management tactic. But instead of doing it on the same pair or using multiple accounts to do it on the same pair, what you're doing is you're looking to do it on, let's say, a correlated pair. So we'll stick with our euro dollar example, right? So let's say we are long the euro dollar, blah, blah, blah news is coming out. We're a little bit concerned. We want to put in a little bit of protection just in case we get a big reaction in the opposite direction. Well, what we need to ask ourselves is this: what pair is highly correlated with the euro dollar? And you got to be careful with this, right? Correlations in general, you have to be careful with. I'm not going to get started, I promise you, for you guys that are regular, consistent viewers of the Trading Coach podcast or anything I do on YouTube, or of course you guys at Tier 1 in the live sessions, you know that whenever someone says the word correlation, right? My head gets red, steam starts coming out, and I start to explode in a rant. I know many of you guys do it on purpose just to fire me up. You know me too well. So I'm not going to get into that. But in general, correlations change over time, but when we talk about correlations, we want to look for kind of consistent correlation. So like, just because I am long euro dollar, it doesn't mean I should be short pound dollar. Like, yes, that does mean I am pro dollar one way, negative dollar the other way, but those pairs aren't necessarily correlated. And if you look at two charts, either screen by screen or put them on top of each other, you'll see that they don't really share similar movement patterns. One that does share a similar movement pattern, for example, with the euro dollar, is going to be the dollar Swiss. Now, again, this is not all the time, but typically the dollar Swiss is the inverse of the euro dollar. So if you, again, split or stack your charts, if you put the euro dollar on top, if you put the dollar Swiss on the bottom, it pretty much looks like a flipped image of the euro dollar. So if you're someone that's going for a correlated hedge, if you are long the euro dollar, which means you are buying the euro, selling the dollar, you would also want to be long the dollar Swiss, which would mean you're buying the dollar, selling the Swiss. Now you have one pair that is short the dollar, one pair that is long the dollar. Because these pairs move in a similar fashion, if one does one thing, the other should do the other thing, and you have that same type of single pair correlation, but by using multiple pairs. Now again, a few things you want to be aware of when doing this. Correlations, again, I know I already went on a rant about this, but I just want to kind of hammer that in your head, because I know some people out there will be like, oh, it's as simple as doing this and this, right? You got to research your correlations, right? Correlations change over time. Sometimes they are steady in the way they are movement. Sometimes they get out of whack before kind of getting back into the same pattern. So it's not as simple as like, oh, I did this on the dollar Swiss and euro dollar last year, I'll just blindly do it again. You just want to make sure that they are moving in similar fashions or similar in